Welcome to a tutorial on how to build a GPS tracking system with Node.js. Before we start, here's a quick overview of the system. First, we need a database to record the last known GPS locations. Then, a server-side API to update and get data from the database. Lastly, front-end apps to track the users and show the GPS locations. To keep this tutorial short and simple, take note that the following will not be covered: creating a map, user login, security checks. All links and resources will be provided in the description box. Let's get started. For the database, we will be using SQLite. It's not the best, so feel free to use MySQL, Mongo, or Postgres in your project. For the database structure, we only need a single movement table. Add an ID column, set it as the primary key. The ID is tagged to users, delivery staff, packages, vehicles, or anything you want to track. Then, a date column. If you want to keep all GPS entries, set the ID and date as the composite primary key. Lastly, the longitude and latitude. Moving on to the server-side script, let's begin by creating a new project. Edit package.json, set your project information. Install SQLite, Express Server, Multer, and Cores. With that, we can now move on with the script. Deal with the database first, load the SQLite module, connect to the database. Stop processing if it fails to connect to the database. Next, load Express and initialize the HTTP server. We will create two endpoints, one for the users to update their GPS location. Another to get the GPS locations of all users. To update a user's location, they have to post their ID, longitude, and latitude over. For that, we use Multer and Body Parser to properly parse the sent data. Of course, the server should respond with an OK and handle errors gracefully. To get the user locations, simply do a select all from the movement table. JSON encode the data entries and respond accordingly. At this stage, all that's left is to build a dummy tracking and admin page. For the tracking page, start by calling a tracker function on window load. Since user login is not a part of this tutorial, we will just generate a random ID. Then, get the user's current GPS coordinates. On getting the coordinates, collect them into a form data object. Send them to the API endpoint via post. Lastly, set the tracker function to loop automatically. For the admin page, start with the same tracker function on window load. Simply get the data from the API endpoint. JSON decode the data. Once again, loop this function automatically. Now to do some testing. Access the tracker page. Verify the GPS location update. Verify the database. Lastly, access the admin page and verify the data. The whole point of having API endpoints is to be platform independent. A web, Android, iOS, it does not matter so long as apps can communicate with it. So in this chapter, we will run through a dummy GPS tracking app using React Native. Let's start by creating a new project. Install Expo location. Set up the project in your code editor. Reset the default index tab. Create a simple layout with a single text component. Generate a random ID as usual, since there is no user login. As with the web app, set a tracker function to loop. Then, import Expo location and check if location service is available. Check if access permission is granted. Get the user's current location and collect them in a form data object. Upload the coordinates to the API endpoint. In your project, you may want to run this in the background. But for now, we will test it as it is. As you can see, the server is screaming something about cross origins. Long story short, the Express server is deployed at your IP address, port 8888. By default, it will only respond to calls that originate from the same host. So when the app at port 8081 tries to call the API, a cross origins error occurs. To fix this, we can simply use the CORS module in Express, but take note, this means opening up the API to everyone. With that, there are no more errors, and you have successfully created a working GPS tracking system. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe for more.